Hey, Young Turks, I'm Nomi Konst. We are thrilled to have the latest candidate that's getting all the attention, Randy Bryce, who is from Wisconsin. He's running for Congress against Paul Ryan. You probably saw his ad that went viral a couple of weeks ago. He had this incredible ad where, he talks about his background and living in Wisconsin as an iron worker, and it captivated the country and really the world at a time when Democrats are lost. They don't have a message. They don't know which way to go, what kind of candidates to focus on. This was also in the face of John Ossoff's loss and Tom Perriello's loss and a couple of other ones as well. And, there are these existential questions that are being put out there for the Democrats. And we saw this ad that Randy Bryce had to launch his campaign, and we're thrilled to have him today. So, Randy, thank you very much for joining the Young Turks.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So you are from Wisconsin.
Yes.
You're a resident there. You've been an iron worker, a union activist. This is all part of the narrative of your campaign ad that people saw. And there's a lot there. You talk about healthcare. You talk about Paul Ryan. Why do you think that your message is resonating so much with your community, but also the country right now?
It's a common message. I tell people I didn't invent the electricity or, discover the internet or anything like that. It's just, I think that's one of the great things, is that it's just a positive message about one of us trying to speak out on behalf of one of us, as opposed to somebody that's obviously not just not listening, but is actively trying to take things away from us.
Paul Ryan has been in office for 2 decades. He came out, am I correct to say that in 1993, that's the last time this district's been held by a Democrat, and then he came in after that a couple of terms later?
Right. For a while it had been held by a Democrat.
1993 1992 election was a big election year. I think it's the last time the Democratic Party saw an alternate wave happen. In this region in particular, it's fascinating to see how many Republicans in the Rust Belt have really been able to, win elections. Paul Ryan is not the kind of guy you think of when you think of the Rust Belt. He's an Ayn Rand, enthusiast. He's, in leadership. He represents the Washington establishment. Do you think that people in your district are happy with him? Or why does he keep getting reelected?
I don't know why he keeps getting reelected. Recently, I would say gerrymandering had something to do with it, with the way the district was drawn up. They added a conservative part of Milwaukee County and a conservative part of Waukesha County, as well as taking away a traditionally Democratic area of Beloit. When he's in the district, he sounds like a Democrat. He sounds very friendly, like he's going to stand up for you and he's going to have your back.
Wow.
But this thing with this recent health care bill that he's trying to push really has people upset when they find out what's actually contained in it. And also, he hasn't been around for over 600 days. But you still will read about him going to these fundraisers. And now they have a new thing that they do that even in state they're using, where they have a fundraiser and they don't even want to see you. If you can't afford to go, like pay the $2,500 to show up, they won't even tell you where it is until you RSVP and give them the money.
Wow.
So that's the new thing.
Speaking of fundraising, I do want to go back to your district and Paul Ryan, but you've raised, it's now, we're speaking on July 3rd, you've raised over $400,000 in 12 days since announcing. Now, for our viewers, that's highly unusual, and this is not coming from big dollar. Have you had any big fundraisers at all?
No, we haven't had one fundraiser, and as a matter of fact, I've only had time to call like maybe one page worth of people that are on a call list. So this is just reaching out to people, hearing, doing interviews, but it's been over 16,000 people have donated. And the average donation has been just over $25.
Oh, my goodness. This seems to be the model that works if you're the right kind of candidate. If you weren't a union activist, a progressive, somebody who's been active in your community for a long time, say this was just Paul Ryan running against, somebody who looked like John Ossoff, do you think that the Democrats, or Republicans for that matter, would be able to win over the white working class voter that everybody's talking about?
Well, I think part of the thing is that I mean, people in the area know me, and that's who I am. I don't. Um, I work. I work hard for a living,
Mhm.
and it's. I think it comes across, especially in the video, where you have visual thing of what I do for a living, and it's not like when people see me, I don't get the. It's like, well, how is he going to be on this issue? It's like there's somebody who genuinely works for a living. They work hard. They pack a lunch every day when they go to work. That guy's gonna. He earns his money. He's going to appreciate people that earn their money, and it's. I'm not claiming to be a policy wonk on anything, but I have a couple of ears, and I'm more than willing to listen to people.
This is not the first time you've run for office. You've run a couple of
No,
times before. And
correct.
the reports, we were talking about this before we went on camera, that some of the reports have been, oh, he's this perennial candidate. I've run for office. I know what it takes to run for office. It's very frustrating and hard, and it takes a lot of work, and there are a lot of mistakes that can be made along the way.
Definitely.
Bernie Sanders ran like 7 times or something before he was elected. He even jokes that he was called the perennial candidate. You have Congressman Ro Khanna, who ran a couple of times before he won, and he unseated a very popular incumbent in the Democratic Party. So it takes a lot to be the not be the favorite and win, right? You have run twice before. It looks like you are the darling now of the Democratic Party. What kind of lessons have you learned from previous races that you can, I mean, especially running against Paul Ryan? You're going to have the whole
Right.
Republican Party and the Koch brothers and all the super PACs, swarming your district and beyond to try to take you out. What have you learned?
Well, the first race was for a state assembly race, and this was shortly after Act 10. Scott Walker dropped his bomb.
Right.
And we had the Senate Minority Leader, Peter Barca, who I had a lot of respect for. I mean, he was the guy standing up, you can't do this. It's a violation of the open records laws. He asked me to run. And, just coming from somebody that I respected that much, whatever you need to help fight back, I'm there. So he didn't even finish the sentence, and I was like, okay, I'm in. And but that was part of his job as minority leader, to make the minority into the majority.
Right.
So he traveled around, and even to this day, he has 2 phones he's working, trying to get people to run for office. So after I said yes, I would, and I came to find out that the local county party had a woman that was, they had asked to run. They recruited somebody, and she was an Emerge candidate, graduate. So she
It's a women's
knew,
organization for those who are unaware.
Correct. She knew what needed to be done to run, and here I am. I just called up a couple people that lived nearby, and I genuinely liked her. I loved her positions. So we ran, and she kicked my butt. She worked hard. I mean, she was every time I drove any place, I would run into her. She's like knocking doors. I'm like, wow, she's really giving it, which was great. She won. She ended up going to losing the general. It was a gerrymandered district,
Right.
newly redrawn. And then in 2014, State Senator Wirch had asked me to run for state senate. And I had learned the time before, don't say yes, let them finish the sentence and figure out what's going on first. He was I said, you saw the district, you know what it looks like. And he said, yeah, but we have this John Doe thing we think that is going to blow up, and it's going to have your opponent possibly, implicated within it. And we want to have a good candidate if it does. So after thinking it over, I decided I would do it, and it also was going to help Mary Burke, who was running against Scott Walker at the time. So there were a lot of reasons why I went into it, even
Right.
though knowing what the district looked like. But as far as now and what I've learned, I would just ask people, and people ask me about it quite a bit, quite frequently, and I actually look forward when people say, "Well, you ran before. What makes you think this time is going to be different?"
Right.
And all I have to do is just say, well, look at the video that we produced and look at our campaign launch.
How did those guys find you? I mean, I think that's what's really interesting is you have run before, but this is such a unique moment where so many of the consultants out there don't really know what to look for, because there's with all due respect to the Democratic Party, there's not a lot of leadership out there saying these are the types of candidates that are going to win the Rust Belt. These are the kinds of candidates that are going to win the South. These are the kinds of candidates that are going to win, some of those seats in the Southwest. So who did someone find you? Because this was
I
beautifully produced.
I'd been approached by some people in a working families party that asked, they're like, we're looking for more working people to run. And they knew I'm on board with getting working people to do anything to get more involved. And then State Senator Chris Larson, I met him walking at the May Day parade on May 1st.
Wow.
And he said, I know somebody that lives in LA, a retired record producer, that is interested in finding somebody to run against Paul Ryan because he had it in for him. He's like, can I forward your information? So I was, at that point, I was pretty much sucked in.
I know who that guy is. He's not just a record producer.
Once I got the phone call from Howie.
Howie Klein.
And so I sent him a text after this got rolling for a bit. I'm like, Senator Larson, I just want to say thank you, and this is all your fault. But no, Howie, and he was like, he's been pretty determined to help out the country by supporting candidates throughout, everywhere. And it's like he questions you, he asks for, people to vouch for you. And then he called me and we talked about it. He's like, there's some people that would, I'd like to put you in touch with. And so I talked to Bill Hires, was one of them. And he did like Mayor de Blasio's campaign. He did Fetterman for Senate. And he was like, look at this video. And this is some of the work that these guys did.
Right.
So I looked at it and I instantly loved it. It wasn't like grabbing rotting vegetables out of a crate and throwing them at an opponent and saying, that guy sucks, that guy sucks. It told a story.
Right.
And it was a positive story. And I was like, I really want to work with these guys. Let's figure out how we're going to make it happen.
And now they're saying it's the best ad of the past decade, probably longer, which is, you're going up against the America ad with Bernie Sanders and so many different ads.
They did an ad for Bernie Sanders as well, too.
Right. So how does your union take your race? Are they being supportive? Are other unions jumping on board? How are they all working together mechanically?
They're phenomenal. I got a phone call shortly after the launch from our International's general president. He was like, Randy, how you doing? This is Eric Dean. This is my cell number. If you need anything, feel free to use it. We had an event last Saturday at Local 72, kind of like a kickoff event with live people. And our IPAL, the political guy for the International, he drove in, and he was there, and we're talking about getting the rest of the building trades involved in Washington, D.C., and they've been supportive beyond belief. And in addition to the texts I get from other guys that I've worked on jobs with, they're like, Randy, we saw your ad. You're like Rocky, man. Go get them. Go get them. And it's good because normally the guys aren't as politically motivated as I'd like. And it's like seeing one of their own. It's getting people fired up in a good way.
What does the district look like? Is there a large iron worker base in the district? Are there factories still around? What's the makeup?
There's not so much of a manufacturing base. A lot of those jobs have left.
Right.
It used to be big in making cars. GE had not just outside the district, but GE had an entire factory that's moving up to Canada now, which were some of the better paying jobs in that county. There's a lot of businesses moving up from Illinois, just across the border, but they're not manufacturing jobs. And I think that's where our emphasis needs to be in actually making things here. And that's not going to happen until we start demanding that, the things we buy are made here.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed any Republican, the Republican Party locally or nationally, have they amped up the attacks, done anything destructive at this point? We're very early. We're a good year and a half away. But
right. I was trolled by the Waukesha County Republican Party, it was kind of funny. And then I heard we have right-wing radio. Right. The first day when it was launched, one of the guys was slamming me, and I was like, this is, they're scared. Otherwise, they try to ignore you. So I was laughing. I thought it was a good thing. And it's been interesting. It's been interesting.
It's a fascinating race to watch. We're going to be tracking it closely. Obviously, we have a long way to go, but you're getting a lot of attention. You're raising a lot of money.
Right.
Over $400,000 in 12 days. It's pretty admirable to take on Paul Ryan. But you're going to need it. The reality is that an average congressional race costs like $2.5 million, but you're running against the leader, one of the leaders of the Republican Party right now. And it's a sore spot because, as you said in the ad, it's not like you're going to see him go work the iron.
Right.
And go
Right.
trade
Well,
jobs.
his version of working the iron involves dumbbells.
That's true. I forgot about that. We'll have to put one of those shots up on the screen to remind everybody. Side note, you're getting like this internet, you're becoming an internet sensation. There's a Facebook page called Randy Bryce Dank Meme Stash, like the Bernie Sanders one for those who know.
Right.
Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I have. And I know a couple people that contribute there. I found out, it's like, I know who you are now. It's funny. It's hilarious. It's flattering. It's silly. I go there for a good laugh.
Well, it's really entertaining and fun, and you're getting the millennial buzz, which is always a good sign because there are a lot of people out there who try to pay good money for that kind of buzz, and you have it naturally. So it's a good sign.
That's great.
Randy, I look forward to speaking to you in the future, continuing
Likewise.
to cover this race, and hopefully we'll be able to get out there and follow you around a little bit. So thank you very much, Randy Bryce.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Where can people find it's Randy Bryce, the website? If they
www.randybryceforcongress.com.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.